Many, many times in history, things have grown from poor to better, to better, to better, to better, to good. And even sometimes on the way up in those moments, there are these buildups of what's going to happen, what's going to happen. Famine has happened, hardship, even war has happened historically, and it builds up to a point where you think things are going to just completely fall apart, and then fill in the blank. Now, here's what I mean by that in terms of today. Whether you like him or hate him, our new president was one of those moments in history, and put your comments down below, where it seemed like the people that wanted things to change in the country were feeling stress. What's going to happen if he doesn't get elected? Things are going to go boom and take a nosedive. And then the other side, to be fair, the other side was thinking, oh no, what if he gets elected? What if he gets elected? What if he gets elected? And then what happens on the other side of that? And so both perspectives on the new president were filled with a lot of stress and what if scenarios. And Krista doesn't know what I'm talking about yet because I haven't told her what I'm going to talk about, and I want to get her ideas about what I'm talking about in just a second. But this has happened before. Now, I've been studying in Genesis, the chapter 40-ish area, and Joseph, who became one of the second in command to Pharaoh in Egypt, because there was a famine coming, because God had given them the insight as to what was happening. They were building up, and they were storing. They knew what was coming because they believed God was telling the truth. So they were storing up all this grain. And then a funny thing happened. I'm not going to hit all the points in the story, so if you don't know it, go read it. But when they realized this is going to keep going, Israel was brought, and they stayed with Egypt. And the funny thing happened is that when all of a sudden it seemed like, okay, we've got enough, we're good. There was plenty in the land, and people stopped acting like there was going to be a problem. They acted like there was not going to be a famine. They kept consuming, and they didn't change their ways, and they kept behaving in a manner like there was no problem.
Right.
Then they ran out. The Egyptians too, they ran out. And then what happened? They started selling stuff to Egypt, who got richer and richer and richer. And then when they ran out of that stuff, what'd they do?
Sold all their livestock. Then they sold themselves.
They were literally selling themselves into slavery or indentured servitude, however you want to call that.
Sure.
In order to live. Now, why did I start this out by saying, hey, guess what? We're in a unique position in this country because it's similar. So many of us, whether you're on the R side, the D side, the LMNOP side, it does not matter. This is not a political issue. We all were feeling the stress, like I got to get to know skills. I got to get to the snow. That was kind of, that was pretty cool. It was off of the Starlink satellite dish. I got to get to know skills. I got to get to understand things. What is going to happen? And now we're at that weird spot where the world has, whether you're an R, a D, or an LMNOP, I've talked to all sides, and they all just went, there's a pause. And now it feels like everybody's taking their foot off the gas in terms of learning skills, doing things. Like our grandparents, they just lived this way, as to not needing to go to a big box store for every 5 minutes. They just grew up being frugal. They knew how to do things. And my concern, folks, is that now that everybody's gone, what happens next if things don't go as quickly better as we all want? Now, don't freak out if you're a pro administration. Don't think I'm saying anything negative, because I'm not. I'm saying, what happens if it doesn't go as fast as we want?
Right.
Are we going to start selling off our livestock as a parallel to the Bible account? Are we going to start selling off more? Do we become more and more in debt? Your thoughts, dear wife of mine.
Actually, when you had said that, like our grandparents lived, they had they had so much more simplicity with the amount of things that they bought. You know what I'm saying? Stuff. They didn't.
Give an example.
Well, they didn't have, 75-inch TVs. 100 years ago, they didn't have TVs, or they were just starting. But
microwaves in every house.
Microwaves in every house, washers and dryers in every house, dishwashers and refrigerators, and the amount of groceries that are in a grocery store. So, say you go to just a regular grocery store, not a big box store, just a regular grocery store. How many different choices of tomatoes are there?
Good point.
How many different choices of pasta are there?
We want it now. We want it now.
But there is the unlimited choices that we have at the grocery store. How many different kinds of cheeses are there? How many different kinds of chips are there? Okay, 100 years ago, there wasn't this kind of choice.
Opulence.
Yes, the opulence. They didn't have that. That is, I think, that's where, in my mind, where our family should be at, is simplicity.
Pare it down.
Yes. We have cows for milk. So out of that milk, I make yogurt and cheese and butter. Okay? So that's 4 products.
I make ice cream.
He makes ice cream. So that's 5. Okay? And we have sheep for meat. We have calves for cow. We have beef cows, right? So we have all of these things that, have made our lives simpler. And I think that's where our focus needs to be, is simplicity, and not all of these choices. Settle on, growing your own tomatoes. Then you can flavor them however you want. Mm-hmm. Have one kind of tomato. That's that thing that everybody thinks I have all of these choices. I can have whatever I want. Well, yeah, you can have whatever you want.
Everything's a trade-off.
Everything is a trade-off.
Everything's a trade-off.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I was trying to see about talking about is
our donkey is starting to yell.
Excuse me about that. Sorry. So everything's a trade-off. Mm-hmm. You can get a new TV every 5 years and throw away your old one or give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
But there's a cost for it. Mm-hmm. And we all want more and more and more. And we're ramping up just like I'm seeing in the biblical accounts of these Egyptians and Israelites who, even though it was complete famine, they were living high off the hog. Yep. And then, oh no.
We have nothing left. Nothing.
What happens if prosperity does not come as quickly as you're hoping?
Right.
Or ever.
Right. So with that prosperity, we went to the grocery store yesterday just to pick up a couple of items that we needed, right? Eggs. An 18 count. I forgot to tell you this.
We didn't buy them.
No, we don't buy it. We have our own chickens. 18 count of eggs. $12.99.
That's like 80 cents a piece.
That is insane.
It's like, I'm not good at math, but that's got to be like
too much money for eggs.
You guys do the calculation, but that sounds like 80 cents each.
No, that's ridiculous.
You guys remember when you could go to the Denny's restaurant and get a whole breakfast for $2.99?
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't that long ago.
Or I'm not suggesting this, but when you used to go to McDonald's, you could get a cheeseburger for
50 cents?
49 cents? No. We don't even go to McDonald's anymore because that's not food. But it's just nuts.
Here's the thing, folks. Just because it feels like pressure's off, no matter which side of the fence you're on, or maybe you don't even have a fence.
Right.
But keep in mind, things can change on a dime.
Yep.
And just putting stuff away is not a bad idea.
Right.
But even better than that is learning the skills on how to do it so you don't need the big box store.
Right.
You don't need everything to be a throwaway society.
Right. Right.
So
Goodness.
I think that's it. I'm cold enough. Are you
I'm
cold
cold,
enough?
and I found some barn fairies. in
Barn
my
fairy
pocket.
dust. She does. They might not know what that is.
Barn fairy dust.
Hay.
Yeah, it's little pieces of hay.
I got my pocket is busted open.
And my hair's still wet, actually.
You guys have an amazing.
Blessed day.
Bye.
Bye.